What's written and heard in history does not always tell the complete story. Only in our channel, the other face of history is unveiled.
If you think you know Rabaa al-Adawiyya because you had seen that famous Egyptian movie about her, then you don't know her true story. Unlike what's known, she was not a singer or dancer. If you want to know her true story, then watch this video. The story of Rabaa al-Adawiyya, starting with environment and upbringing. Rabaa lived in the city of Basra in modern-day Iraq during the 2nd century Hijri, the golden age of Abbasid Caliphate, specifically between approximately 95 AH to 185 AH. Basra was a thriving scientific, cultural, and intellectual center, producing many early Muslim scholars and mystics. Her detailed name was Rabaa bint Ismail al-Adawiyya al-Basriya. She was born into a very poor family and was the 4th daughter of her father. Hence the name Rabaa means the 4th. Al-Adawiyya refers to the Adi tribe, or because she was an enslaved servant for the Al-Atiq family from the Banu Adwa. Rabaa was born into extreme poverty. Her father Ismail died when she was a young child, leaving the family with no provider. A severe famine struck Basra, forcing her sisters to separate. One day, while Rabaa was still a child, she went out into the street where she was kidnapped by a thief and sold into slavery for a mere 5 dirhams, a price that reflected her extreme weakness and destitutions. Rabaa worked for her new master, performing hard labor. Accounts say she would work all day and spend the night in praying and prostration to God. One night, while she was praying, her master heard her supplicating with deep sincerity. "My God, you know that my heart longs to obey you, and that the light of my eyes is in the serving you. If the matter were in my hands, I would not cease from you for a single hour, but you have handed me over to the service of your creatures. O God, if I have obeyed you, bestow upon me my freedom, and if I have disobeyed you, bestow over me your pardon." Her master saw a light enveloping her, illuminating the entire house. He was terrified, realizing that this enslaved woman was a saintly figure among the friends of God. In the morning, he summoned her and said, "You are free for the sake of God. Ask God to forgive me." And he set her free. After gaining her freedom, Rabaa seated for worship in a small chamber known as Khilwa in Arabic. She became renowned for several things. First, extreme asceticism, or known as Zohd in Arabic. She refused the marriage proposal from many prominent scholars and ascetics, such as Abdul Wahid bin Zayd and Muhammad bin Adham, and possibly Sufyan al-Thawri. Her refusal is famously captured in her saying, "Marriage is for men. As for me, I have no concern about God." This indicates her unique path of devotion. The second thing, focus on inner worship. Her practice wasn't solely based on fasting and night prayers. She followed a methodology of purifying the heart from the love of worldly life. The last thing is her voluntary poverty. She chose a life of poverty. Even when her students and admirers offered her gifts, she would refuse them or give them away as a charity. Before Rabaa, primary motivations for worship for many were fear of hellfire or hope for paradise. Rabaa introduced a new concept, pure divine love. She is the one who uttered the most famous quote, "My God, if I worship you for fear of hell, permit it. If I worship you in hope of paradise, exclude me from it. But if I worship you for your own sake, do not withhold from me your eternal beauty." This idea revolutionized the Sufi thought, making the ultimate goal for worship the love of God for his own sake, not for any other reward. One of the most famous historical supported stories is that she was once in her chamber without a lamp. An admirer offered to serve her, to which she replied, "The light is in my heart, and I have no need for a lamp in the house. Another story recounts that Sufyan al-Thawri visited her while she was sick and had no pillow. He offered her his head covering to rest her head on, but she said, "For 20 years I have been too shy to ask God for a need, so how could I ask someone other than him?" Rabaa al-Adawiyya died in Basra around 185 AH and was buried there. Her death was culmination of a life spent in worship and divine love. Many legendary stories emerged around Rabaa's figure, often intended to highlight her spiritual gifts, or karamat as known in Arabic, such as the story of the candle lamp, that she would run through the streets illuminated by light, or that her house would be filled with light without a lamp. These are likely symbolic representations of her idea of inner light. The story of the mountain calling her, a popular but weakly sourced story. Her detailed dialogues with Al-Hasan al-Basri, many of these are not historically substantiated. The true story of Rabaa al-Adawiyya is the story of an extraordinary woman born into a poor family, sold into slavery. Her deep faith and singular focus on the love of God made her one of the most influential figures in the history of Islamic mysticism. She was not merely an ascetic who prayed and fasted excessively, but rather a Sufi thinker who moved Sufism from stage of fear and hope to stage of pure unconditional love and yearning for God. She inspired all who came after her, including Al-Ghazali. Her life is a testament that spiritual elevation has no relation to gender, social origin, or wealth.